Hi, I'm Mr. Jody, and this is trumpet lesson number 4 for the beginner, how to read the notes and play the notes on the trumpet. On the trumpet you have 3 basic vowels, and different combinations of vowels will allow you to play different types of notes. For example, a scale sounds like this. In other words, the scale is a basic pattern of notes. I'm going to start at the C scale, and I'm going to start in the low C, go up to middle C. Sounds like this. And you notice I did different combinations of vowels, and that's what we need to learn. We need to learn the different notes. Now we're going to start simple. Since this is the beginning lesson, we do need to start with the very basics. Now you've already learned some notes as we've played in our first lessons that we've taken. If you haven't seen the lesson 1, 2, and 3 videos, I would highly encourage you to do that, because that's going to give you a good foundation to build on here. But you can check that out at www.learnitonlinetoday.com. But for right now, we are doing the notes. We're learning how to play the notes, learning how to use the different patterns, and we're going to learn some basic notes. We're just going to learn about 4 to 5 right now to start with, and we'll keep adding to that as we go. Now to start with, we need to know some of the basic terms, or the basic way that music is written on the page. First of all, you have what are called staff lines. When you play music or you see music written, music is going to have 5 staff lines. You're going to see those 5 staff lines there. And those 5 staff lines are where the notes are going to be placed. And depending on where they are, it's going to depend on what note it is. Now there's 2 different types of sets of staff lines. You either have a treble clef or you have a bass clef. A treble clef is going to tell you, that's what we use for trumpet, in other words, or some of the higher instruments will use a treble clef. And that treble clef, that sign that you see there, is going to tell you what the position of the notes are, and depending on what the names of the notes are. And the bass clef is usually the lower instruments, like tubas or a baritone or something like that, or a trombone would be using a bass clef. And so depending on what instrument you play, and depending on where the notes are, whether they're lower or higher notes, it's going to depend on which clef it is. But for the trumpet, it's a treble clef instrument, also known as a G clef, that kind of thing. And if you hear somebody talk about different keys as well, and we're not going to go into all that detail here right now, it's a little bit more than we need to go into, but a trumpet is considered a B flat instrument. That's the key of the trumpet, the way it's made. But it is a treble clef instrument, so that's what we're going to be using when we see our music and our notes. So let's take a look at that a little bit. If you're going to look at the note G, G goes right in the staff line. It goes right up there for middle G. You'll see that written on the staff line. You'll see where that is now. That's how you play a G. That's what you'd see a G at. What if you're going to play, like we've talked about in some of the other lessons, a low C? Where's that? Oh, well, that goes below the staff lines. Yeah, that goes a little bit below, and there's a little slash that goes through it that kind of tells you that it's extending those staff lines a little bit more. It's just lower than the normal 5 staff lines is all. Then what if we played an F? Well, you'll see where an F is. That goes in the open space now. So that's where the F belongs. So how to read the music, it just takes time, it takes practice to know what the notes are and where they are. And you'll learn that as you go through it, and the more you practice it, the easier it becomes to read it. It's like reading anything at all. You just have to learn the small words first and get bigger and bigger as you go along. So the idea that I want to make sure that you know is to know what notes to play. You can download what's called a fingering chart. You can download that at the website at www.learnitonlinetoday.com under the trumpet lesson area. And you can download that fingering chart. That'll tell you all the combinations of the vowels for the trumpet for all the notes that we typically play as a trumpet player. And I would suggest doing that, and just keep that tucked away in a nice music folder or wherever you have it there, and use that. Refer to that often. As you're learning the notes, use that, look at it, refer to it so that you can play the proper notes and as we go along.
So you said you played other instruments. What are these other instruments?
Well, I just call this the dog horn, and you blow right into its right foot, and it makes a beautiful noise. Yeah, it's pretty good. You're jealous, aren't you? I can tell that you're jealous. Just kidding.
But again, we're starting out simple here, so we're not getting too complicated yet. I'm just going to play starting with C. We want to start there, so if you have your trumpet, let's go ahead and try this. Starting with C, it's open, no valves down. D is first and third valve, so you're going to put first and third valve down together. E is first and second valve. F is first valve. And G is open. So this is the first basic set of notes that we need to learn as we start our lessons, as we start learning how to play the trumpet. We're going to kind of use those notes quite a bit, and we'll keep adding notes a little bit higher and a little bit lower as we go throughout things. But keep practicing on those for now. Practicing so you memorize what note is what pattern with the valves. So again, I'm going to play it one more time and play a little faster this time, and using my tongue, as if you've learned in our tonguing lesson, we're going to tongue each note this time. So here we go. How'd you do? When you transfer notes, in other words, I go from an open to first and third, this is where it takes a little practice when you first start, is being able to push down both valves together. Let's practice that for just a moment. We're going to do this, we're going to go back and forth from C to D, C to D. Let's practice it like about 4 times. How'd that feel? Getting the hang of it? And again, just pushing the valves down all the way. Again, one of the things we want to make sure to do is push the valves down all the way. What happens sometimes is that we don't get it down all the way. We kind of put it halfway. It sounds like this. And that's what we want to practice. We want to make sure to snap those valves down. Don't need to smash it down like this. Otherwise, it's going to affect your playing because it'll move your horn, and you don't want to do that. You want to snap it down, but not push it down so hard that it messes everything else up. So that's what you need to practice on. Practice getting that transition from one note to the next. There you go. Now, one thing we haven't talked about yet either is what's called the spit valve on the trumpet. Now, as you start playing more, you're going to notice you get this weird sound like a... I try to kind of make it up for you there, but you'll hear this weird kind of a rattling sound and go, what is that? That's usually because you're building up spit in your trumpet. What you need to do is you got to get that out of there. So the way to do it is you have what's called the spit valve here. You hold it open and blow. Just like that. And you might want to take your valves and also push them down and try to get it out of the valves. Get all that spit out of there. Now, depending on where you are, it's kind of polite to have a nice Kleenex or something to hold over there and spit it into there, and that way you're not just spitting it on somebody's floor. But it kind of depends on where you are. If you're in a band room or whatever, and it doesn't really matter, I guess just go ahead and let the spit out. Yeah, whatever. Anyhow, enough about that. But that's what you want to make sure to do. Make sure to empty your spit valve every now and then because your horn will build up spit, and it is important to get rid of that. So that's the basic notes and basic patterns. Again, download that fingering chart. That'll help you out quite a bit as we get going. And it's almost time. In the next lesson, we're actually going to start to play a little bit of a song. And so that's exciting stuff. Keep on practicing. Keep checking out more of the trumpet lessons at www.learnitonlinetoday.com. Goodbye.